Hello everyone and welcome to today's Yamdu webinar. I'm Mick from Yamdu and I'm going to be giving you a sense today of why our clients use Yamdu and why they see the system as being something that can provide them with a lot of advantages and benefits in the way they work. So just to give you a sense of what I'm going to be showing you today, I will be giving you a quick presentation about some of the key things about Yamdu and then jumping into the system to illustrate some of the key areas that Yamdu provides. And if you have any questions, you can add them in the chat function and I'd be happy to answer them at the end of the webinar. So to jump directly in, I'd like to start by giving you a sense of what Yamdu is. And it's a all-in-one solution for every kind of visual production. So you can see it's a smart solution that covers all content types and all positions and departments, no matter what you're working on. It covers every step and stage of the productions you work on, and it contains all key general and film-specific tools under one roof. The other important thing, of course, is that it works across all devices and browsers. So no matter where you are, no matter what kind of device you're using, you can always directly find the information you need. You can add information, you can discuss things, and you can share things with the people that you work with. Now, to give you a sense of what Yamdu aims to do, we are committed to eliminating redundant work and streamlining workflows for every kind of visual project. We try to do that by improving efficiency across the entire project. And that means, of course, simplifying communication and collaboration all under one roof, providing one centralized file sharing hub where all key details can be saved and accessed, and also making sure that everyone is working with the same information, that everyone has real-time detail, that they are seeing, that they're never working off outdated information that may lead to problems further down the line. So in all, how we would describe Yamdu is quick, easy, and intuitive. And those three things drive everything that we do. And based on the feedback from our users that we're about to share with you, we are, to quite a significant degree, achieving that for the people who are using our system. So the reason that I'm giving this presentation is to give you a sense of why our clients use Yamdu. And to gather that information, we asked 700 of our selected clients one very simple question, which was, why do you use Yamdu? And three key themes emerged. The first one was that Yamdu provides a centralized workspace. The second, that Yamdu provides a planning and scheduling clarity that you do not get when you're working with lots of different systems in a very disjointed way. And finally, Yamdu streamlines workflows. These are the things that our clients told us provide them with the greatest benefit when they use the system. And these three areas cover a multitude of things. So I just want to jump in and look a bit closer at each one in turn. So the very first one is a centralized workspace. It's a very simple idea, but on many productions, this is actually absent. So that means that people don't have one place where everything can be found, where discussions can be had, and so on. So the idea is that all crew members, all project information, and all of the key tools are in one scalable system. You can make it very big, you can make it very small, and you can choose the tools you need. You can reduce reliance on emailing, and that was, again, something our clients kept telling us. They did not like the experience of sending lots of emails out, waiting to get detail back, having issues making sure that everyone was on the same page. So we're very proud that Yamdu provides something that makes it a lot easier to share information and discuss things. Also, you can see that files and documents are securely organized with full access right management. And that is key. You have to control the information that you work with. And I'll show you why Yamdu does that in, we think, a very clever way. As well as that, we offer first-rate support to all crew members. So anyone that wants more information, anyone that doesn't quite understand something, can always reach out to us directly. As I mentioned, Yamdu is responsive across all devices, so information is always there no matter where you may be. Task management, of course, is one of the key things we offer, and that comes with clear deadlines where each person involved in a task knows exactly when something needs to be accomplished. and that's across the entire crew. And finally, Yamdu also offers reusable, automatically populated databases. And this is a huge thing for many of our users. They were collecting lists of information that were not dynamic, that were, siloed on desktops, or they were shared in documents, or it was a list in Excel. That information could not be used effectively. And in Yamdu, it's a lot easier to do that because we collect that information passively for you, so it's always at your disposal for future use. So that's centralized workspace. The next thing that our users gave us feedback on was planning and scheduling clarity. It's no good having everyone in the same place if they're not understanding and seeing the same information. And Yamdu provides very clear instruction about how things develop, where things stand. So to orient people, we have the overview calendar. That makes cross-project planning very easy because everyone is looking at the same information, and that can cover as many projects as you might be working on. The resource planner allows you to define anything as a resource and track its use over time. The production calendar gives you quick and easy ability to reuse template. So you can change things quickly on any visual content production. Things do not always run smoothly. In Yamdu, if something changes, if you have to move something forwards or backwards, you can do that very easily just by dragging and dropping. And that information is then immediately shared with the people who need to see it. And the last two things here, people only see information that is relevant. We don't cloud them with too much information. We let them see what's relevant to them and the kind of general things that everybody on the crew needs to know. So if you're in a little department and that's your kind of main area, you can see all of the detail relating to that. You don't have to worry about other elements that are not directly related to your job. And finally, here you can see that we have a shooting schedule that is intuitive and quick. So people were looking for a shooting schedule that makes it easy to change information. And that's exactly what we've built. And that's exactly what they've told us they enjoy about using the system. The final thing I want to show you before we jump into Yamdu is the streamlined workflow. And that means that you have the ability to replicate existing workflows or create more efficient ones. You can do things as you've always done, just within a more clear framework, or you can use Yamdu to actually think twice about the way you do things and maybe create something that's even more efficient than you already had. We support all project types, as I've mentioned, so every kind of project is there and covered, and there's a way to work with that content to move from development all the way through to post. And that pathway is what I mean. You have a script or a shot list or a content item, and you can move forward into scheduling and call sheets as you go. And of course, you have the breakdown information shared across all key departments. We don't like siloed information, detail that can't be accessed by the people who need it. When you create a breakdown in Yamdu, it's a collective experience, and people receive the information that they need to see in real time. Time and effort is saved across the breakdown, shooting schedule, and call sheets. There are time savings to be had in every area of Yamdu because in little ways or big ways, they all aim to streamline the way you do things and give you more time for the creative aspects of your project. But the breakdown, shooting scheduling, and call sheet is where you can really make massive time savings. We're talking about taking things that might take days and doing them in hours, or taking things that would take a few hours and making them happen in a couple of minutes. It is, a big advantage over the previous way of doing things, and even the existing workflows that people still use. And the clients that have been using Yamdu have really seen the amount of time they have to be creative expand quite rapidly once they started using the system. And finally, we're very happy to be partners with ARRI. ARRI is, of course, a very storied name in film history, and their WebGate system, which is a dailies viewer for post-production, can be directly integrated into Yamdu. So I'll tell you more about that partnership as we move forward. But right now, I think it's the right time to directly jump into Yamdu and take a look at everything the system provides. So let me just share my Yamdu with you and walk you through everything you can do within the system. So I hope everyone can now see my Yamdu interface here. And if not, just write a comment in the chat box so I can make sure that I don't keep moving forward with information people can't see. But I think everything is good. And you can see here that I've just entered Yamdu. This is the first thing you see. Quite simplified, quite straightforward. The projects you're currently working on, the tasks that you have, and the tasks that you've created, which of course you may also be involved in. So you can see quite clearly, okay, we have some things that are pressing. We have other things that are approaching deadline. These are the projects that are active. And I can orient myself very quickly within the project. You can also see here that in this overview section, we have a calendar where every single stage of production from each of the current projects is very clearly displayed. So I can jump in immediately and see, where things are, what phase of production, what step, what stage, are we casting, are we in development, are we in production, and what meetings and events are taking place. All of that is right there in front of me. I can even see the deadlines for the tasks that I'm involved in. And as you can see, tomorrow is quite a busy day, so maybe it's been busy today too. So you have that sense of where everything stands. You can filter that information by project or by category or even by user, so you can see, what a certain person's calendar looks like at a particular point in time. You can also see, for example, that you can subscribe. So you can take this information out to Google or Apple or Outlook. So if you do have an existing company calendar or a personal calendar, you can take the information from Yamdu to those very easily. And finally, you can PDF export this and pretty much everything else in Yamdu. So if you need something quick and you need to have it in front of you, even if you need a paper copy, which we, of course, in this system try to avoid having to do, you can create that very easily, export it, print it if you need to. So the other key thing in this overview area is that you have a company database. This is where the direct employees of the company can be added. The administrators can see and do most things. The employees and staff can see a lot too, but their access is of course dictated by their position, their role, what they need to see. So you can differentiate between direct company employees and also the freelancers that you work with across projects. And the key thing is Yamdu collects these people. The freelancers you add in your projects are saved to this area. And if you work with them again, as most companies often do work repeatedly with the same people, you can add them to future projects without having to re-enter a lot of information. The other important things in this area are that you also have a database of actors. All of the actors from your projects are collected in one location, and they can be reused on future projects with all of the key information attached. So if I'm working on something new and I need to find someone who fits various criteria here, all I need to do is enter the detail I'm looking for, and Yamdu will filter out anyone who is not the right fit. The other important databases are, of course, that we have all locations and all reusable in one place, where you can search by, the location and how far it is from a specific place. You can search by tags. And you can also see that we have costume and prop databases too, should you wish to reuse that information on any future project. The other important thing that we have in this area is resource planning. This was something that our customers were looking for a very long time. We took a ton of feedback to try and make sure this was exactly what they required. And so far, since we've launched this at the end of last year, it's been quite a success. People are very happy. And what this allows them to do is define resources in whatever categories they want. And then, within those categories, they can add subcategories. If we're partners with Ari, so we illustrate this with a few different Alexas. So you can add all of the things you're working with, whether they are cameras or lenses, or whether it's personnel or studios, and you can create bookings with these. So you can say something like, I have a booking that I'd like to create for a certain project during a certain time period that is a draft booking for now that I can add some context about, and that I can just pull all of the information directly out of my database. So I can say, okay, I need the LF for this, and I can create a booking here that will then be displayed in the actual resource planning area when I click on the scheduler view. So I can see all of the bookings that I create right here, and I can look over a short or a long period and see, when the freelancers are working on projects, or when my cameras that I either own or I'm renting will be on use in various projects. And the key thing is, if one camera is booked on two projects at the same time, Yamdu can actually understand that something does not work here, and it will flag this as a conflict that you can then do something about, that you can try to avoid. And I can't tell you the amount of times our customers told us this avoided some pretty expensive mistakes when they had double booked something quite simple that could have led to significant issues in production. So Yamdu is doing a lot of work in the background for you to make sure you can work on your projects to the best of your ability. So you have resource planning, you have databases of information, you have all the crew in one location. The other quick thing to point out is that Yamdu is available in a number of different languages. We truly are a global company, and you can see here that you can choose from a number of different languages here, wherever you might be, so that you can work in your native tongue while communicating in the language of the production if it's a co-production, for example. I think that's a very important thing. And you can also tell Yamdu how you want it to communicate with you. So you don't need to see every new piece of information that comes in. You can decide if it's an email or a push or whatever you think works best. But that is the overview. That's all information outside of any particular project. Now we're going to jump into a project. And you can see here that we now have the dashboard for Love at Sunset. This is a feature movie, but it doesn't really matter. It's more about the actual tools that you can use on any kind of project. So because it's a feature movie, there are some suggestions here for things that I might want to do based on the fact that that's the kind of project this is. I probably might want to import a screenplay or start casting or something like this. You can also see here too that I have my tasks in this project. I can mark objects I want to keep track of. If there's something elusive that we need to figure out, then we can keep that in mind. And I also have a live feed of all of the new information coming into the project. So at any moment when I jump in, if I've been away for a few days and I just need to catch up on everything, I can see what's new, if there's finished tasks, if there's new tasks, if there's new information, if there's communication, if someone is looking for feedback, I can just scroll through and see all of that detail right here. So again, get up to speed quickly, don't miss any important information. And whatever project you work on, you can choose the actual structure that you need, the sections that you require based on your project. So you can scale Yamdu up or down. We have small teams working on low budget projects that have a very fast turnaround, and we have people working on projects over the course of a number of years with hundreds of people in certain cases, where they have lots of information that needs to be managed, and they need to scale Yamdu up to as big a degree as possible. So Yamdu is built to be flexible and to work for every kind of production. And you can see that whatever project settings you choose, that will kind of dictate the tools you work with and the menu that you see on the left-hand side. You'll also see that we have episodic features. So for all of our TV productions, it makes it very easy to add information to individual episodes or to all episodes at once. And finally, when you want to share information or you need to export detail or a client needs some information, you can generate documents within Yamdu, just like the calendar as we saw earlier, but lots of other things too. And when you do that, you have a PDF header that you can customize however you want, so that everything you generate within the system looks very professional, and you can create this in a few seconds every time. And finally here too, you can see that you can watermark files however you may wish to. So if you need that extra level of control and see who sent things or information like that, you can see it very easily in Yamdu. So to give you a sense of the key general tools, you have all of the crew in one location. It might sound quite simple, but it's very difficult to do. Yamdu aims to make that very simple, and our clients tend to agree. You have everyone in one location. You have full access right management. So that's initially defined by position. You don't have to manually change all of these. But let's say I add Peter Ashby and I want to make some changes to his access. I can hide information or give read access or give edit access according to what I think makes the most sense. So I have full control as an administrator in my sense and as a producer on this project over what people can see and do. And Yamdu makes that very intuitive and quick and provides that structure for you in advance for you to edit at a later point if you need to. You can also add external contacts. So not everyone that you're working with on the project has to be in Yamdu. You can just add their information directly and send detail out to them when you need to. You have user groups as well. So any departments that you create automatically allow you to communicate with them as a whole. You can message the entire production team or the entire casting team, or you can message individuals depending on the situation. And also you can add and manage any units that you might have on the projects you're working on. So everyone in one place, you can create groups, you can create units, and you can manage all of the access. And access is obviously key when we come to files and documents, because you have to control who can see things, how sensitive information is managed, things like this. High-level people can see details like contracts, but in development, the average crew member can see things that are relevant to their position or just the people in general that are working on the project. And you can always see who can edit the information and who can read it. If you jump into the script, for example, you can toggle between different versions, you can see different formats, you can link to information outside Yamdu rather than hosted directly, and you can also comment within the system. So that's the communication aspects that our clients keep mentioning, that you can tag people, you can discuss things, you have a real-time forum where you can have conversations, and it's linked directly to the content in question. It's not, siloed off like email, and it doesn't lead to, difficulties tracking information as email often does. So you can, of course, add Word files and Excel sheets and documents and photographs, but you also have the ability to directly host and play video files within Yamdu. So you can see here, for example, that I have the ability to play back video if I want. I can comment on it too. I can even jump to a specific point, say that it's too dark or too bright or whatever the problem may be, and ask someone to make changes. So I could tag an editor and say, we want to just lighten this up a bit. Can you re-upload the latest version? Then we can toggle between them and compare. We can discuss, we can comment, we can ask for feedback. We can download the files, send them via email. So you have this built-in forum and discussion place where visual content can be stored and discussed. And again, that's something that our clients really love about the system, that opportunity is there. So you have the crew in one place, the files and documents, access right managed in one location. You also have key general tools like task management. So I can create a task like a costume issue, and I can say that we need to find something. It's proving difficult. Here's the deadline. This is the team I want to work on this, and please see what you can do. They can get started, they can communicate directly, I can give them notes or pointers or give them feedback or listen to what they have to say. They can upload images and files and share links. And as we move forward and as the project or as this task is eventually solved, we can get a sense of exactly how the project is progressing. What is left to be done, what is approaching deadline, and what's already been completed, and who was involved and what was the conversation. So even a few years down the line, if I need to see how something was done or how a particular person has a talent for fixing problems, I can directly jump back and see the kind of thread and the timeline of how everything was solved. And all of these deadlines for the tasks appear directly in the project calendar. So this is where, again, as we saw in the overview, we can see the meetings and events in this specific project. We can see, the current phase of production and the deadlines for the project that we're working on. And you see here that we have the, draft of the script. We're currently working on the first draft. That detail, that blue bar, is coming from the production calendar. And this is where I can map out the journey of my production step by step from beginning to end. So you can see here that I've added some steps, and I have a kind of an overview of how I think the project will move forward over time, all the way through from the first draft of the script into sound design and post-production. And to build this, I simply added the production steps I needed. I could create custom steps if I want, or I can use the template that Yamdu provides right here with lots of steps to choose from. Whatever I choose, I then have this Gantt chart view where I can see all of the key detail, and I can edit this however I want. I can move steps forwards and backwards. I can make steps longer and shorter. And the key thing is that I can also have dependencies so that A needs to be completed, for example, before B can begin. And I can, build these out as I add the steps, or I can do this manually just by, dragging and dropping from one step to another. So when things change, as they always do, you have the ability to roll with the punches, change things quickly, and that information, as we've seen in the calendar, will immediately be shared with the people who need to see it. So everyone in one place, all key information up to date. That's why our clients really like using the system, because they're never working with outdated material. And as we mentioned in the resource planner, you also have an additional ability to track resources in a project. You can actually right here see that you can add resources to a step, and then that resource booking is defined by the length of the step. So I can say for the final draft, we need the screenwriter, Peter Ashby. In shooting, it might be a camera. And we can also create tasks within steps too, so that they're just structured to an additional degree. And it's very clear that within this step, these things need to be accomplished before we move forward. And if you need to export this as a one sheet or over multiple pages, you can do that very easily within Yamdu as well, whenever you need to. And again, it's not just customizing steps and stages. In the settings area, you can see that you can customize weekends, holidays, and breaks, and the stages here that you actually work with. And the key thing is you can reuse it every single time. So you can build out how you do things once, and then every time you create a new project that's somewhat similar, you can actually have the exact same stages there right from the beginning. And again, in terms of saving time, that is huge. It's not building up new Gantt charts every time. They can be reused. Just you can edit the information when you need to. So all of that is, getting everyone on board, managing information, setting tasks, keeping everyone on the same schedule, sharing the same information. What about the content that you're working with? Yamdu is a creative tool, and obviously the key thing on any creative project are things like the shot list or the script or the content items. And you can see here that the first thing I'm able to do is import a screenplay. I can pull a screenplay in from Final Draft, Celtex Fountain, even PDF files in Hollywood format. And when I do that, you can see that Yamdu can read that information and put it back together for me in the system. So here we have all of our different scenes displayed. This is a little short film, let's say. It's 13 scenes in all. And if I click into scene 1, you can see that I can create a breakdown for each scene. The description, the ID, the environment, the set, all of that detail has been pulled in from the import. And I can now add anything I need to props or set dressings or graphics or VFX details or anything that I think is relevant. And the key thing is that I can add those things manually, and I can reuse existing things that I've added, or I can directly tag the screenplay. So I can open up the script right in front of me, say that, okay, we have an old map here, that this is a prop, and that I'd like to tag that every time it's mentioned directly in the screenplay. So not only does that select that and add that to this scene, it will also add the old map in any other scene that it appears. And this information is not siloed. It's not in one place alone. When I tag that old map as a prop, it immediately is shared with the relevant department. So immediately production design, if they're already on board, of course, can see right here that, okay, we have lots of different production design elements. We have this old map right here. And when I click on the old map, you can see that, we had some moods and images that we used to get a sense of what we were looking for, to get the kind of creative juices flowing. Then we suggested various props that might be options, and then we selected the one that we think works best. And all of those immediately, without you having to do a thing, go directly to the databases of prop information. So then we linked the map, the prop itself, with the old map in the script. We can see the scenes it's in. When we create a shooting schedule, we'll also see the day out of days immediately. So you can tag and add and select all of the things you need. It works the same way for the sets. You can assign them to filming locations. You can add all of your locations and all the key detail, and then say this is for that set and this one's for the other. And again, you can imagine location scouting is a time and energy intensive part of production or post or pre-production. And in Yamdu, you can do that very efficiently. You can share information on a recce. You can take images, upload them, and start building it in real time without having to, memorize everything and then add it later to a list in Excel or something, a couple of days later. In Yamdu, real time, share it all, create profiles for everything, and then assign them to the sets so that you know exactly which filming locations you have for every scene. Same concept for makeup and hair, same for costumes. And you can see that when we go to casting, you can do that as well directly within Yamdu. We have lots of people that used to outsource casting that now do it themselves because they kind of feel empowered enough to do it given the advantages the system provides. So you can see, okay, we've cast everyone apart from James. This is one of the main characters. And we've had some suggestions here for the right actors for this role. We've voted for who we think are the best options or who we think might work best. And in this case, we're going to select Jack Jameson as the actor who will play James. We think he's the best option. So what do we know about this actor? If we click in here, we can see that we have information. Higher level people can see the important details about this person. We can see the headshot. We can see Jack's appearances and skills and what he's good at, what he looks like, what he can do. And you can also see things like sizes. So the costume team can immediately see what they're working with and maybe start doing some work in advance. So that actual actor is linked to the character in question so that everyone knows this is the guy who's playing James and everybody else knows all of the other roles too. So you can see here that you have the ability in all of these different departments to add detail to the breakdown, populate that information, get everything in line, have all of your props and costumes and characters and locations and everything like this put together so the departments can work individually, but in a collective way. All of the key information is added, and you create a breakdown in real time that you can use to do other things. But before moving forward, I just want to show you that it's not just scripts. Scripts are one aspect, and in Yamdu, you can have a script, you can add shots to the scenes, you can storyboard those shots, but you also have the option to work without a script as well, because you have the ability to work instead with a shot list, for example. You can add the shots that you're working with right here. You can add, camera detail, anything that's relevant as well. And you have just the same ability to create breakdowns right here too. So you can see that you can add audio and visual information and all of the different breakdown elements you might require. And the shots can be used to create an AV script. So you can have audio and visual side by side, which is obviously something that our commercial and music video clients really, really liked. The shots can become a storyboard that you can export at any point whenever you need to. You can play around with this. You can add new images. You can say, okay, the client needs this with the AV script attached, and we can export that very easily. And you can also work with something we call content items. This is when something is not script-based, when it's not shot-based. It's kind of something different. It's a piece of content that needs to be captured. And it might be an interview, it might be drone footage, it might be an exterior shot, but these are things that you can add, and you can just be aware of the fact that this is a piece of content that I need to capture on this project. And both content items and shots, as well as scenes, are or can be the building blocks of your production, which we'll see now when we jump back to Love at Sunset and move to the shooting scheduling. Because here you'll see that if I jump into my current schedule, and I can have many draft schedules before I make it an active one that's shared with the crew, when I click edit here, I have the ability to see all of the scenes that I imported. So this is the content we're working with. I can reorder it by ID or set or character. And when I select these scenes, I can actually drag them directly to the shooting phase that I've created here. So just by dragging and dropping, I can create a strip board. So now I can see, okay, this is the detail that I'm working with. These are my scenes in chronological order. Here I can select the columns that are displayed. So I can decide what information is important so that I can make the correct decisions in the shooting scheduling. Our clients have different things every single time, so we basically give you the option to see any piece of information that might be relevant, whether it's department related or general or shop related. So you select what you want to see in this view. First of all, you can reorder the strips by set or by location if you need to. You can automatically add day breaks, so you can go by the number of script pages or the estimated time or duration. And basically you have the option to play around with the content you're working with. But you can also just do it nice and manually. You can say, okay, this is a 3-day shoot, and it's going to look something like this. So I just select the scenes, and let's say, okay, it looks something like this. We have a 3-day shoot. But what if Sam Romaine is not free on the first day of shooting? Well, then I can move his scenes to day 3 instead, for example. And maybe if I do that, I can then, substitute a couple of other ones according to whether or not that might be something possible. So you can drag and drop, you can play around, you can change the sequencing. You can also add things like banners. So you could say that, this is a shoot where we have a company move at a certain point, and we can enter the start and the end times. We can assign units. We can have multiple shoots on the same day, should we need to. Basically, you can build up your shooting schedule like this so that it is exactly how you want it. And again, if I save this as a draft right now, it's a theoretical schedule. It's not quite ready to go yet. We can always come back to it. But right now, if I want to, I can share that directly with other people. I can create an export and say, here's what I'm thinking. Do you have any pointers? Is there anything I'm not considering? You can also immediately see the day out of days. So we had lots of people telling us that they would create a schedule and then manually in Excel try and map out the day out of days, which we found absurd, because in Yamdu you can generate that information immediately. You create a shooting schedule, and then you can immediately see when the characters or the sets or the props or the outfits are in use over the entire course of the schedule you created. And that is a massive time saving in comparison to the way things were previously done. Just like the way the breakdown makes it easy to tag the script and share information and have everyone working right from the beginning, the shooting schedule also makes it easy to see all of the key elements that you have to keep in mind, and our clients appreciate that in terms of the time saving, probably more than anything else apart from the call sheet, because in these two areas you have this ability to really cut out a lot of redundant work and focus solely on the creative aspects of your project. So the last thing, or the last few things I'd like to point out are that, of course, budgeting is an important part of any production. And in Yamdu, you can see here that in the shooting schedule, I can actually export that to Showbiz. I can take all of the information that I've added and take it out to Showbiz budgeting from media services. And we think Showbiz is the best budgeting system to track every single element that you're working with. Budgeting is a very important element, and there are lots of fine details, and Showbiz does that to a degree that we think is excellent. So you have that ability to take the detail from Yamdu directly out to Showbiz, and I'll have more information on that at the very end of this presentation as well. But let's say here that we have now completed this shooting schedule. We're happy with this. This is the final version. I can then directly create a call sheet for the shooting day. I can say, okay, we have a title, date, and call time. Click next. If I click on shooting day, I can now tell the system, take the breakdown details, take the department specific information, take the shooting schedule information, and put it all together for me in a call sheet that has my company header, that includes the call times, that lists the scenes and all the key details, that has all of the call times for the actors, and that includes props and information like the old map, for example, or anything else that we tag or add. So you've seen in seconds that Yamdu has created that information for me, taking all of the work I've already done and reusing it. You're not doing this manually, you're not redundantly starting from scratch again. Yamdu is making it easy to do this automatically. So we can play around with a few things. Okay, we don't need calls there. Let's move it under the PDF header. I didn't add locations yet. Of course, normally I would have, but if I add Grand Central Station now, it shows me a map showing where that is because I entered a real world address. It shows me the weather at that location. It shows me the nearest hospital. And if I want to add any other elements, they're all here for me. Text fields, page breaks, crew lists, fire departments, police departments, anything that I think is relevant and should be added, I can add right here. And if I select a crew list, for example, it's right here now. All of that information is listed. Might be page 2 of the normal call sheet. You can see that, or the back of page 1. You can create that very easily within Yamdu. And the other key thing is that if you need that extra little bit of customization, you can turn any dynamic Yamdu information into a text field. And that gives you additional features like the ability to resize things and add new rows and columns and any other information that you think might be useful. So you get that kind of spreadsheet capability all within the actual structure of Yamdu. So I can review this. I can see if it works for me. I can edit the design, depending on where I am, what the standard is, whatever I might need, my own personal preferences. And when I'm happy, I can save the call sheet. So I can directly say, okay, this is the call sheet. Let's save it, as a draft, as a start at least. But if I'm happy, if it's the final call sheet, then I can actually add the people that I want to send it to using the crew and all the people I've added, or I can enter email addresses or mailing lists. I can add groups of people or individuals. So select who you want to send it to, choose which title you want. You can add a message to the body of the email if you wish to as well. And then you can simply send it out to everyone via Yamdu. And when you send it, it will be sent when possible from your email address, not as a no reply at Yamdu. So everyone sees this is the call sheet. They receive an email with the call sheet attached. They have a link back to Yamdu. They have their call time clearly displayed. They see the message you added. And they can also confirm attendance because you have a sending report and you can see everyone that it's been sent to and whether it's been sent or received or viewed, whether it's pending or rejected, or whether it has been confirmed. And the key thing is this column here, when, of course, real email addresses are used, you can see hopefully turn green as everyone confirms attendance. And if not, you can resend the call sheet or you can send it to additional recipients, depending on whatever you need to do. So those are the key features that Yamdu provides, all the way from getting people on board on the project and development to moving into production, and also beyond that into post. And that's where Ari's WebGate system comes in, because you can directly integrate that with Yamdu. And here we see that Ari WebGate has a dailies viewer where you can directly see all of the footage that you've shot, where you can view this, where you can vote on this, where you can download and render this and create direct links and everything else, so that you have this forum to discuss the actual content in post as it's coming in. And when you integrate that with Yamdu, you also have the ability to use the exact room structure that WebGate provides. So you can see all of the information directly within Yamdu itself. And that way we feel you have a complete true line from the very beginning of development to the end of post and the delivery of the finished product. So that's Yamdu. That's the integrations that it provides. That's all of the key tools. I think the other important thing is, of course, what plans do we offer? And to keep things very simple, we broke this down into 4 different plans. From Spark, which is 1 project and 5 users, all the way up to Signature, where we have many clients working with hundreds of users on, in certain cases, hundreds of projects at a given time with unlimited users. So 3 out of our 4 plans provide unlimited users. What you actually have to decide is, how many projects you might have at a given time. 3 projects with Rise or 8 projects with Star. These are rolling projects. And what that means is that you can work on 8 projects at one time. If you finish a project or if you freeze a project, you get a new project to work with. So you always have 8 projects active, but with Signature, of course, you can request more and we can do that for you. And you can see here that you can, have 1 project, you can scale up and have the additional company features like the databases, and you can then add additional things like watermarking or resource planning with our most popular plan, Yamdu Star, or you can even scale up further and add white labeling and single sign-on and integrations with other systems with Signature. So we have something that allows you to choose something that works for the size of your company, to scale over time in a very seamless and progressive way. And the other key thing is that we are very, very confident that once you enter Yamdu, you'll see the benefit immediately. And that's why you can pay monthly or annually. You're never tied into a long-term plan. You can sign up for a month, test the system out. If it doesn't do what you think it does, or it doesn't do enough, or you don't think the return on investment is as great as we know it is, or at least we think we know it is, then you have the ability to cancel and move on. But we think anyone that enters the system, tries it, will see very quickly that Yamdu will streamline every element of production to give you lots of time, energy, and indeed money savings, and the ability to focus solely or mostly on the creative aspects of your production. So that is Yamdu, and just to jump back into the presentation that I was showing at the beginning, you can see here that, and I hope you can all see the PDF presentation, that we have the integration with Showbiz budgeting. Right now you can take the shooting schedule information and take it out to Showbiz to manage all of the key things that you're working with. That's something that we are constantly reviewing and that we think we can always improve. So if there are Showbiz clients that are watching tonight, please feel free to reach out directly if you have any ideas for additional things we could provide, because media services provides a vast suite of things, and Yamdu is always interested in expanding on what we can do. So that is pretty much everything today. Those are that is Yamdu. I hope you got a sense of why our clients use the system. We think that's the most important question for anyone considering using Yamdu, and I hope you've got an idea of why they do and the benefits they get from doing so. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I see here that, okay, is there an offline version of Yamdu? Not yet, but that's something that we're going to be working on in future. Is it only English scripts that are provided? No, actually, you can work with scripts in any language. It's not about the language, it's just about the formatting. If there's any other questions that anyone would like to ask, please let me know. But you can also contact me directly at mick@yamdu.com. So I'm just going to enter my email address in the chat area so that you can directly reach out to me if you have any additional questions. And I'd be happy to even jump on a quick call if necessary, or one of my colleagues can, to discuss what might work for you in relation to Yamdu. So I've just added my email address, and please feel free to reach out. But I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. It was a pleasure to show you around Yamdu. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. You can also start a free 2-week trial directly on our homepage of the Yamdu website if you'd like to jump in right now and see what the system can do. So thank you everyone for joining, and please enjoy the rest of your day.